The things we carry through life, people, memories, beliefs, and experiences often shape who we become.
This is Transitional Objects.
I'm Bridget Tremblay, a doctor of psychology and licensed marriage and family therapist.
And I'm Laura Walton, a licensed marriage and family therapist.
In psychology, a transitional object is something that helps us navigate change, a bridge between where we've been and who we're becoming.
And on this podcast, we explore the relationships, experiences, and ideas that help people move through life's transitions.
We're also longtime friends who spend a lot of time thinking about why humans do the strange things we do,
including ourselves.
So each week we talk about relationships, growth, identity, and the meaningful connections that shape our lives. Welcome back to Transitional Objects.
Hi, we're here.
Hi.
Hi.
So this time we did do another, we put a pause on the polls, but we did push out. I know. We had to take a break.
Neither of us know what to do with social media.
Yeah, that's why we have help. But this time we did actually ask the peeps out there on what a topic they would like. And so we had a tiebreaker, but the one that pushed through was legacies, our legacies and what we leave behind. And so even just like saying that out loud, I'm like, gosh, that's a lot of weight. That's like there's some depth to that. But what do you, when you hear me say that, or when you hear it, when you read it, what comes to mind for you?
Yeah, it's interesting. And actually, this topic was an idea that I had inspired by a session that I had. There was a book that she had read that's a fiction book, but she was talking about it and it had recommended it to me. And it was about somebody who's a death doula and so works with death a lot. And so anyway, the conversation was just in that she read it as part of a book club, so it was being discussed, amongst several people, and this idea of legacy, like what was left behind when we die. Is that intentional? Is that not intentional? How do we even approach that? Was the topic. And she was talking about how she's never considered that before, and so it was a strange thing to recognize that, which is the complete opposite of my experience. Maybe not surprisingly, because I work so much in the topic of death and grief, but I feel like that's something I think about all the time. And so it was interesting to me that to have this stark contrast of somebody who never thinks about it, somebody who thinks about it all the time. And that's where the idea for this conversation came from. So the fact that you're saying it feels like this heavy topic, like, I'm not surprised. And to me, it doesn't.
So you're like, yes.
But if I had to make a guess, I would say your perspective and her perspective is probably more within the norm of in general.
Yeah.
And I'm probably the oddball here.
Good. We can cover a whole spectrum today.
Yeah, as we do.
As we do. Yes. Yes. It's interesting. When you think about legacy, it's like, I think it's life and death in a weird way. Okay. You can't live. You don't have a legacy without living.
Yeah.
And so but I think this is why it's maybe easy for you, because you thinking about death and planning about death and what death means and how it sits is an open and willing and comfortable topic for you. And so when you think of legacies, is that supposed to be a good thing?
A legacy?
Yeah.
Is that the question? Is a legacy
right? Is a legacy supposed to be a good thing? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it supposed to be and who's the legacy for? Is it for anyone? Is it for the person, right? Is it just for sake of acknowledgement of the person that has passed? What is legacy really? Why do we strive for it? What's the meaning of it? What is the purpose of it? Is there pressure around it? Again, I'm just thinking out loud here when I hear the word like legacy. Also, I don't know if you've heard like legacy burden. But legacy burden is if you do a little bit of like internal family systems work, legacy burden is actually those intergenerational legacies or wounds that get carried down.
Could you give an example of that?
Yeah, sure. Let's say like withstanding discomfort, withstanding toxic relationships, engaging in insecure attached relationships or dynamics, maybe because generations before you didn't think it was okay or safe to express fully or emote fully or be vulnerable
Or maybe to leave a relationship
and or leave a
that wasn't
relationship when it's
healthy.
no, yes,
So if you witness that and that as being normal, then how this is being defined then is that something that maybe you then grow into
yes,
that sort of behavior.
yes. And you carry it into your like
Mhm.
relationships, you carry it into your even self, how you
Yeah.
exist.
And then you model that to others. If you have children, you model that to them. Yeah. And then
Right.
cycle
And
continues.
so there you go. That's why legacies aren't all really great. They
Yeah.
can be burdensome. And so it's like,
Mhm.
how conscious is one actually when they are creating these legacies? So
Yeah.
that's kind of what
That's
comes to mind for me.
Yeah, that's interesting because the first thing I think I thought of when with just the word legacy is something that's maybe more intentional in what we want to, I don't know,
Yes.
do or create within this lifetime to leave behind, whether that's for others or to be remembered by or whatever it
Right.
might be. But it's a more intentional process. But yeah, what we're talking about here too, it can also be very
Be
unintentional, maybe not a lot of awareness even around.
and burdensome, and which can cause a lot of work to sever the legacy. It's
Mhm.
interesting too. When you think about legacies, you're like, oh my gosh, you want to preserve a legacy, you want to carry on the legacy, you want to, right? But there are some legacies where it's almost that much harder to to sever it,
Yeah.
given we don't know how long the generational tie goes. And so that thinking of that is that's a pretty big feat for someone. But what does that entail? That entails a lot of insight, which we talk about a lot in this
Yeah.
podcast, is that if you have insight, then you can do a lot of like great things. You can move existential, familial legacy mountains with insight. So yeah, I think it's with those like really promising, nurturing legacies that bring life and health and vitality you want to preserve. But with some of those legacies that are burdensome or not as healthy, right, can sometimes be claimed as toxic. We want to sever, and how we do that, right? That requires insight.
Yeah. And it's so interesting because I'm sure the definition of what is good or bad as far as a legacy can change with social norms, cultural
Mhm.
norms,
Right.
can change with just different perspectives. It's not maybe something that was thought of as being a positive way of being 100 years ago or something.
Right.
People might have been proud to pass down isn't so much anymore.
Right. Exactly. For example, like boys don't cry, toughen up,
Yeah.
carry that legacy on for the next
Yeah.
father,
Grow,
son, sons.
yeah. Let's grow a family of tough men.
Yeah, tough men. And so I think, yeah, we're where we are now, right? In some areas, I digress. Okay, I'm not going there. But where we are now is we're having more, definitely more acceptance and encouragement for men to emote and to express emotionally and vulnerably and intimately. And but that still comes with this really heavy duty intergenerational narrative. I don't know if if you're seeing men in your practice, if you see men in your practice, but there's some men are really grappling these days with what that legacy was carried down to them
Yeah.
and how they actually want to express and exist today without engaging in that, reconciling that, and creating safe awareness around that and space to express. It's not easy.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
So the way that is the definition of that and the way that is interpreted and therefore held by a person, yeah, is so subjective. And I think that's maybe also true with something more, something more material that we might
like what?
like money
Oh,
or
yeah,
or
right.
money or lack of money or power or
Yeah,
lack of power or
yeah.
whatever that we might pass down could be good or bad.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And who determines if it's good or bad?
Yeah.
Really going philosophical here. Who is this? Who says? Who is they? But yeah.
And what
When
we're known
oh,
for. I think legacy is partly what we might be, maybe it's not something like money we pass down, but it might be something we're known for. Maybe it's our life's work or
of
something
course.
in which people know us for. And for generations beyond that person, like that could mean different things. Maybe somebody doesn't want to be known as being
Right.
a child of whoever who's known for
Exactly.
whatever they're known for. Maybe that's not something that they're proud of.
Right. Like a cow farm or a butcher. And oh my gosh, this is getting carried down, but lo and behold, it's getting carried down to a raw vegan. So how do you reconcile that without it harming or judging that said legacy?
Yeah,
Do we have a choice? Do we have a choice in whether we want to preserve or sever the legacy?
yeah,
So again, we're speaking broadly, but it's interesting kind of what this actually entails.
yeah. It's way more than I thought.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And the initial conversation that I was referencing that started this thought for me was coming from the perspective of somebody being middle age and not and feeling as if they didn't have a legacy, had already lived half of a lifetime without doing anything that they would label as worthwhile or something along those lines to leave behind, and therefore questioning, what does that mean for the rest of my life? Do I need to do things differently?
Totally. So classic generativity versus stagnation. Eric Erickson, he's the social psychologist where there are these different stages and phases of our development, even from
Yeah,
like day one. And usually that's like your target, that's like the prime target age, like midlife is this crux, this, am I feeling a sense of generativity? Am I generating vitality and like promise and purpose? Or am I meeting that stagnant lifestyle, this kind of redundancy, non-purpose, non-vitality life? And that what an existential assessment one has to do, or one sometimes people aren't even aware that they're doing the assessment either. And or this is somewhat cliche, but like midlife crisis, the guy who gets the red Corvette, he's
yeah,
typically in his 50s. And so it's just interesting how those two things, which are opposite, generativity and stagnation, is there any in between? Like, is there any in between? And does it have to be all or nothing?
yeah.
And can we reframe that? Can we reframe that in the context of a legacy?
Yeah. And what, yeah, where does the suggestion, belief, whatever we want to call it, come from that we eat? That's even something that is required for us to do, to leave behind a legacy.
Totally. Who says?
Yeah, who says that
Who's that? What? Yeah,
that's a requirement of life?
right. And what if it's another word?
Like what?
I don't know. Legacy, we talk about what a legacy is, what it could be, but I guess, well, what if someone doesn't want to leave a legacy, but wants to leave, I don't know, fill in the blank. Love.
Yeah. But then I feel like you could call that a
I
legacy.
know.
Call any of yeah, I guess the
Right.
legacy could apply to pretty much anything it people
Sure. Sure. But does that word legacy come with pressure?
I feel
And also this Eric Erickson generativity versus stagnation.
yeah,
Okay, you're reaching 51. Time to really do your legacy
yeah.
assessment. Are you doing your legacies? And that feels like pressure. It feels
Are
like
you taking your vitamins?
I
Are you
gotta,
doing
I
your
gotta, I
legacy?
gotta, I gotta make sure I'm doing my legacy work here.
I wonder, so what, from a more, what do I want to say? From a scientific standpoint, I don't know if it's that, if
Yeah,
that's the
we're
right.
just throwing out words here.
But why, do you know why, like, it's at that period of our life that becomes the question? That's the developmental stage.
I can imagine that it's because given the yeah, scientific biological age
Biological.
span or lifespan, yeah, is that by 40, 40s, 50s, 60s, you're in it. You can now be looking towards like, oh, how do I want to end my life? How do I want to live out my life? Whereas when you're in your teens and 20s, you're not thinking about that.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's that biological clock that ticks around that time of life when you're a certain age that kind of forces you to reckon with what you've done, where you are, and where you want to be.
Yeah. Yeah, because I can't help but wonder the one over here who thinks about death all the
Yeah.
time. If that, like, how much that's influenced by that age, you might
Right.
start to see more people in your life die. Like that
Right.
becomes a little bit more common. So I wonder if that maybe contributes to people then starting to actually look at their own mortality and see this, I'm not going to be here forever. What does that mean? How do I
Yeah.
feel?
Yeah.
Because it's more real maybe then
Yeah.
than it was when you're younger.
Exactly. Right. It's like you're closer to the sun, where, which is sun meaning death and mortality. And, aging is typically what expedites that is yeah, that's just life. And that's the biological cycle of life is birth and death. That's a good point. I think as one approaches midlife and it becomes this kind of existential reckoning.
Yeah.
And that can sometimes be met with grief in itself
Mhm. Yeah.
because of this ticking clock. What have I been doing my whole life? Or how do I preserve this? How do I nurture this? How do I make sure that this keeps going? And also, again, back to that like midlife crisis thing, they call it crisis because it just looks differently. And also, disclaimer, there are some folks that truly have a crisis and mid-age because existential strife and grief can really cause a lot of things. But I think just having an abrupt, sometimes it's a slow progression of change in someone when they're in midlife, doing more things, changing a style, leaving their job, leaving their marriage, those types of abrupt life transitions. That's why I think I'm really just making an assumption here, but like they put crisis on the end of midlife. Like midlife crisis, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and actually that's interesting. That is the term that is used, crisis.
Exactly. Again, can we use another word?
Yeah, I know that suggests negativity. Like,
Doesn't it?
not a bad thing.
Like shit, we gotta, okay, everyone on deck, we gotta put the fire out. It's like, what do you
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, maybe it's not such a bad thing to change, to reevaluate and to change,
Yeah.
to
And
stop things that aren't good for you.
also talk about transitional objects. That red Corvette man, he
So
got him
transition.
through a transition. I
Um,
am so being stereotypical, by the way. And really, this is like pop media. Like transitional objects are definitely there, present when this type of stuff happens. But
Yeah.
yes, to your point, I think that like when you put label it crisis, then you start to think of it, look at it negatively.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if it's such a
Well,
negative.
what would you name it instead of crisis?
The first word that popped in my head is exploration.
Ooh, loving it. I love that.
Life
Okay, so
exploration.
midlife exploration. Yes. Oh, okay. You know what my word was? It's similar. Curiosity.
That was my second word.
Of course it was. Duh. Midlife curiosity.
Midlife questioning.
Yeah, midlife questioning. Midlife insight.
Yeah.
Hello. That's
Midlife
what it is.
evaluation.
Exactly. None of these would happen or occur if one wasn't insightful,
Yeah.
which is a strength,
Yeah.
not a crisis.
Yeah.
Look how excited I'm getting.
I know. Yeah.
We're in midlife.
I was just gonna say that we are in midlife. So
Yeah, we're just
what
so
are
in
we?
sync today.
Yeah.
When are we not?
Mm. Yeah. So you had like how much have you even considered this for your life? Like legacy, what you leave behind, whatever that.
It's funny. The when I read that, I thought immediately of my children.
Yes.
And that's big. It's heavy. Again, back to that like I felt pressure. I felt like it was a little scary, right? I'm like, "Oh God, what do I leave to them?" And it could be many things. It could be many things. Tangible things, material things, values, fundamentals, morals, so many things. And I think, oh gosh, I better get a roll on this. I gotta get a handle on this. But then that was my first, that was shocker. That was my first thing is to fucking blow it up and make
I
it
know what I'm doing
dire.
this weekend. I'm working on my legacy.
Like, all right, kids, we're all going on a road trip. We're going to go to all the national parks. Who
Oh.
cares if it's a snowstorm? We're going anyway. This is going to be in the books. But yeah, that's what I thought of immediately.
So what you're
Mhm.
leaving behind to them, to your kids.
Yeah, yeah. I guess that I didn't really think of like me per se. What am I leaving about me? It's interesting. I guess that says a lot too. Like, where's the differentiation from me and my kids? Like, I thought of it, I went directly to them.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not surprised by that, and I thought that's what you were gonna say, but that also feels like the opposite of I don't have kids, so I don't even know that I, at this point at least, could say that I even care about legacy. Like whatever I don't have a strong urge any direction to be leaving something behind
Yeah.
in any particular way. But I also don't feel that if I don't know if I found out I was dying tomorrow and had some time to reflect, I at this point I don't feel like I'd be like, oh darn it, I wish I would have done so and so to leave this behind. I don't feel like I would have that. Do you?
That's good that you don't have that. And that's also telling, right? That you're not, and I guess I'm just using the Ericksons, but you're not feeling stagnant.
No.
I don't want to tell you how you feel, but
No, I'm not feeling stagnant. If anything, I'm feeling whatever the opposite of stagnant is.
frenetic.
Like too frenetic.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's too much going on over here.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
likewise.
yeah.
Okay, you asked me a question. Do I feel like if I were to die tomorrow?
If you knew you were dying tomorrow, so you had some time to reflect on it,
Yeah.
would
Mhm.
you be like, oh shit, I wish I would have left this, done this so that this is left behind or whatever?
No, again, when I hear that, immediately I think time spent with my kids.
Yeah, that would be.
Like, oh shit, I'm not going to be able to see them do this. Oh shit, they're not going to have me be in their life. Like that. So
So
it's
that
yeah.
so that time though, that time and the experience with that in some ways that would be part of a legacy that you might want to leave them.
Yeah.
Which of course makes sense, but that's also like the conversation I had that started this was again concern about not leaving behind anything, but that's been I know that she has raised children, and so that has been something that has already been done, but we don't
Yeah.
look at it necessarily through, I don't think through that lens of this can be a legacy too.
Yeah.
It like I think the assumption there was that it has to be something bigger and grander than that.
Yeah, because like that the label, the word legacy is like sparkly. I don't have synesthesia, but when I think of different words, I guess I do a little bit, not like, but I think of like golden and sparkly and like shiny and I don't know.
Legacy is a shiny one.
What?
Legacy is a shiny word.
Yeah, yeah, legacy for me, whenever I hear it or see it, I like, and it's not a bad in a bad way, but I just feel like it's shiny and sparkly, and what those sparkles represent is like something big and grand and exciting, and
That's so interesting.
yeah. Different words, yeah, like different words I have like yeah, some non-verbal representations of them when I think of them or when I read them.
Yeah, I think I
Um,
do too to some degree,
yeah.
but the legacy, the way actually the first thing I think of when I think of the word legacy is the show Succession. Did you ever watch that show?
No, I need to. Was it good? Is it good?
I think I watched it a while
Well,
ago. Yeah, I can't tell you the names of any of the actors in
yeah,
it,
it's fine.
but it's about a really dysfunctional family. And
Oh,
like they have run a really like huge and wildly successful financially speaking at least company, but there's so much like dysfunction within
yeah.
and just yeah, so that's what I think of as that passing down of that. There's one might say there's good and bad with that because these kids have walked into a whole lot of money,
Yeah.
but also this whole
Yeah.
experience of crazy dysfunction. Interesting. But that's what I think of when I think of legacy.
Is that show?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why.
Oh my God.
Which is not
That's
sparkly.
mixed.
Which is not
That's
sparkly.
not sparkly.
Mhm.
No.
Interesting.
Also, I think of Larry Bird.
Larry Bird.
Yeah, number
See,
33. Number 33. Because he was a legacy. He was
no.
on the Boston Celtics when I grew up in the 80s, and he was like, he had this crazy shot, but it wasn't like a normal shot. It was like a two hand.
Hmm.
Anyway, I
So
think
you
they
default
called him the legend. They called Larry the legend, I believe.
uh,
But I think they called him that. I could be off. I could be wrong. Sorry, Larry. But I, with the name Legacy, I always think of Larry Bird. You
so
know,
you default to a more positive connotation of
I
legacy.
do.
I default to more negative one.
Isn't that interesting? But in practice, in my practice, I default to more negative because I talk about more like legacy burdens.
Yeah. Interesting.
But personally, I do, yeah, it is more sparkly. That's all I can say. It's like a squish. Yeah, it's positive, sparkly thing. I don't know if I'm even making sense right now.
Yeah. You are very
Okay.
interesting. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Anyway, so what we leave behind, I guess, like in summary, it, do we even need to put so much weight on or pressure on the word legacy? Can we use another word that fits, that is more accurate to one's personal journey?
Yeah. I think it's just such a big question. What do we leave behind? The answer is so broad. And part of that answer is probably not even in our awareness. Whatever
Exactly.
behind, like to somebody else, we may not even ever know. Yeah. So it's such a big possibility of what could be left behind.
And also, technically you don't even know until you're dead the
What?
legacy.
Yeah.
That's when you know, not the person that's died, but like how it has manifested.
Yeah. Ooh, that's crazy to think about. Like,
I know.
you don't know what your
You
legacy
don't
is.
know
You
because
won't know that,
you won't.
despite all your best efforts, maybe to leave behind something. You won't know
Exactly.
how that's received.
Exactly. And in fact, when you think about even just answering that question, it forces one to exist in an anxious orbit because we're forced to answer something so broad, so big, so vast, and so unknown. And if one has anxiety or predispositions to anxiety or rumination, this question can be very uncomfortable. When the real reality is that you're not going to know in your lifetime
Hmm.
what you leave behind, unless, caveat, unless it is materialistic.
Yeah, but you're still not going to know the broader impact of
Yeah,
that.
true,
If you leave
true.
behind a lot of money, you're not going to know what that actually means. You're
Mm,
actually what's done with that, received. You're not gonna know that,
yep.
which is really interesting. Yeah,
Mm,
so the legacy is, yeah, what is that even defined? As we're saying this, I think we're saying that the legacy isn't even defined by the person leaving it. It's defined
exactly.
by the recipients of it
Yeah, that is
for
it.
years to come.
For years to
Or
come.
recipients who aren't even alive right now.
That's right. How
Hmm.
cosmic is that shit?
Wow,
Quantum.
that's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh gosh. Oh, I just got goosebumps. Yeah.
yeah,
Whatever I might be doing with my life these days, or at all, the impact of that, the legacy of that could exist in some way right now to somebody who's not even born yet.
yeah, yeah.
Crazy.
I know, right? I don't know. Here, saying it like that out loud is like less. I don't know. I guess it depends on where it lands on. For you, for me, for everyone, is that. But when I hear it framed like that, I think of, okay, that doesn't sound so bad.
A
Meaning,
little less pressure.
yeah, yeah, okay, yeah. But for some, that could mean, oh my God, I don't even know who this is going to impact. I better get going.
Yeah.
How does that land for you as we're like reframing
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
technicalities of this?
yeah, it does feel, I think, like less pressure. And also, it's impossible, as we were saying, the way whatever I might do in my lifetime is understood or interpreted now is going to be completely different in 100 years from now. Like, I'm going to understand things differently. And there's no way I can like plan for that. That feels, I don't know. I guess it feels a little bit of both. It feels a little overwhelming. And then it also feels a little bit like, oh, fuck,
Yeah, yeah,
I can
right.
do about that.
I'm the latter. I'm just like, okay, it is what it
They're gonna
is.
take it how they're gonna take it. What am I gonna do?
Yeah, exactly. I hope this is helping relieve some people's anxieties around what they leave behind.
And yeah, what's if that were true? If based off this conversation, let's say everybody was able to throw away their,
Just let it go.
just let it be, throw
Just let it be.
away their expectations of legacy or whatever. What's the greater impact of that if we live in
Yeah, say it. Say it.
philosophically, if we live in a
Keep
world
going.
where if we live in a world where the idea of legacy is the whether it's directly or indirectly taken in, but this idea of legacy doesn't exist. There's not a pressure to that. What's that world look
Oh
like?
my
How's
God.
that different than this one?
Oh, you're gonna see a bunch of I don't give a fucks walking around.
I
Because
don't
if
know.
nothing really matters,
I don't know. Maybe. but also
Oh,
like our world is so driven by like money and power.
oh,
That out. If that were not as important, what does that look like?
oh, I see what you're putting down here. That looks like a hell of a lot better than peaceful than what we have now.
Yeah, I
I
could see
maybe
that.
not.
But well, no, I could see one pathway to that, but also maybe there is the I don't give a fuck type thing. I don't know.
Yeah, like it just depends on what gives people life and
Hmm.
purpose and meaning.
Hmm. Oh boy, who knew that this was going to turn into this topic? I feel like
Yeah.
we've
Gone into a philosophical
come into
hole.
way more questions than answers here.
It's like Plato's 8 rings. Like
Oh,
this one goes into this one and this one goes into the what about this? Yeah. Dystopia.
that's the answer. At least
I
to
don't know.
dystopia.
I don't know.
Knows.
But yeah, this is obviously, yeah. I know we do this every time, blah blah blah. We're talking about this. What have you thought of it? Nope, let's just roll with it. But and usually we do, but this one today I was like, yeah, this it it was met with a heaviness. Like
Yeah,
again, that pressure, like, whew, this is a because it felt big. And we are talking about big philosophical existential things, but oddly enough and paradoxically, it's relieving some of my anxiety around it.
cool.
Yeah, cheers.
Yeah, this one I feel like some of our episodes, I we end it and I at least feel a little bit more, well, yeah, that makes more sense. Making more, maybe more answers, but this one feels the opposite of that. There's way more questions now. And it's not a good or a bad thing. It's
Right.
just
Yeah. Oh, like curiosity.
there's more curiosity in our
Yeah.
midlife curiosity.
Our midlife exploration. Love that. I'm gonna start doing that. I'm gonna start saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's start it. Let's start a hashtag. Somebody
Yeah,
start.
we could do that. I think hashtags are, see,
Are they
we're not
old?
the,
Did we not do that anymore?
we'll ask Trinity.
Do we do
Trinity.
hashtags still?
Do we do hashtags?
That's still a thing.
Yeah.
Who knows?
She'll know. Probably like, guys,
Guys, come on.
put me
Let's
under the
guys
spotlight here.
guys are really showing your ages here.
I know. Oh, I'm learning as I go. That's all
Yeah.
I can ask.
Yeah. All right. What
So,
else? Anything else we want to leave behind in the legacy of this conversation?
yeah. If I ever forget these reframes, I know where to find them.
Yes, you do. He's recording.
Yeah.
Mm.
I know where to find them. What about you? Anything, any other, like last thoughts or endings?
No, I mean, it feels appropriate to be ending it with maybe more of a question
Yeah.
than an answer, because it seems to be
It's like the epitome of a
yeah.
legacy.
God, yeah, you're good with words today, and I'm not. But the epitome, yeah, that seems to be the epitome of the legacy.
Of a legacy is this,
Question.
yeah, question.
It's a question.
It's a question. So we're going to leave it with just that. Wonder, guys. Wait, watch, and wonder.
What's your legacy?
What's your legacy? Or another word, fill in the blank. Whatever feels good, whatever lands.
Okay.
All right, we're good. We're done. We're done.
We'll sign off with that. Thanks for being here. We'll
Bye-bye.
see you next time. Thanks for spending some time with us on Transitional Objects.
If something in today's conversation resonated with you, consider following the show or sharing it with someone who might appreciate it too.
You can also find episode notes and resources in the show description.
Until next time,
Take care of yourselves.
and each other.